Hello YouTube. We have the mid-season 8 Overwatch 2 patch, January 9, 2024. There's been quite a few changes, including Mauga nerfs and the big Orisa buff, which probably surprised people, but I understand why they did it, but they didn't do it correctly, and we're gonna get into all of that. So, first of all, they mentioned stuff about the Year of the Dragon seasonal event, the Lunar New Year event for the people that celebrate it. I'm Asian, believe it or not. So my family does celebrate Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year for people who are not Chinese, right? A lot of Asian cultures do it. It is the Year of the Dragon. A lot of my friends are trying to have dragon babies. In our culture, it's like, if you know how we have the Chinese zodiacs every 12 years? It's like the Year of the Dragon's a big one. So like people are getting pregnant everywhere. Year of the Dragon's big. But anyways, Year of the Dragon begins January 30th. We also have Mischief and Magic, the prop hunt game, which was fun last summer. That returns. That's going to be great. CTF, Bounty Hunter Blitz, all the fun stuff, starting in about 3 weeks, January 30th. Now let's talk about the competitive changes. So, Mauga has taken over the first half of Season 8, of course, and he's finally getting some well-deserved nerfs. First of all, armor and health changes. All they're doing is shifting 50 armor back to 50 white health. It's a little bit of a nerf, but not that big of a deal. When you compare Mauga to his initial like BlizzCon test weekend, he had 0 armor, by the way. He was like all white health, if I remember correctly. He still has 200 armor, which is still pretty significant. So this isn't really that bad of a nerf, relatively speaking. The ammo, Incendiary and Volatile Chain Gun, 350 to 300. I think that's fine. Honestly, like 300 ammo is plenty. So yeah, you can't spam as long. Cardiac Overdrive, lifesteal decreased from 70 to 60. I mean, 70% lifesteal is ridiculous. 60 is still very high. I actually think the uptime of it from 10 to 12 seconds is the bigger nerf compared to this thing. This is the much bigger nerf. Okay, because this is like a 20% increase on its uptime. The whole point of Cardiac Overdrive and Mauga playstyle is to wait for that Cardiac Overdrive and cycle that cooldown so you can engage. The longer it's on cooldown, the squishier he is. Next, Cage Fight no longer granting infinite ammo. Decent nerf. It still refreshes the chain gun, so honestly, if you expend all your 300 ammo, then pop your ult, you basically get 600 ammo if you really cycle it correctly. Decent nerf. It kind of ruins, not ruins, but like, yeah, you just can't spam forever in it. There is a small period of time before the cage expires. I am actually curious how long it takes to empty 300 bullets, because right now, Cage Fight only lasts 8 seconds. How long does it take to empty 300 bullets? Like 4 seconds, 5 seconds? And how long does it take to reload? If it is pretty bad, this is actually like a decent nerf, because if it takes him 4 seconds to empty and a full 2 seconds to reload, for example, that's losing a lot of time in the ultimate to be effective with the weapon. So this is probably a big nerf. This is a big nerf. This one's the bigger nerf. And what's the next one? The last thing is the overhealth, where he would get a lot of extra overhealth. Not too crazy of a nerf, but when you combine all the little nerfs, he's definitely tuned back quite a bit. And I think he's actually still a decent hero compared to his original state at the beginning of BlizzCon, and even at the beginning of on his release before they buffed him. Just tried it. Oh, while you're watching. Okay, so we have an update. It actually takes 8 seconds to empty 300 rounds. So realistically, that's not that big of a deal, because it takes exactly the 8 seconds to empty out your weapon. However, if you're in Kitsune Rush, you do shoot faster, right? Like 1.5x. So you're actually correct. This only matters with Kitsune Rush, Nickelberg. So if you're in Kitsune in combination with Cage Fight, there's an implication where you actually have a period of time to reload. But the reload is a little faster in it, but all in all, the ultimate's good. Orisa. So this is the main hot topic that people didn't realize. Removing fall-off damage penalty. When you look at the side-by-side, that's the thing that sells the point of the fall-off. The reason why Orisa was really good back like a couple of seasons ago was because of the fall-off range. They've tweaked it back and forth. The fact that you have no fall-off means that if you spear someone from mid to long range, your follow-up shots should be enough to actually complete 200 HP hero kills quite consistently. And like, so the theory is, the reason why they're doing it is because Orisa is currently the only hero that has projectiles with fall-off. Every other projectile in the game doesn't have fall-off, like Junkrat's nades, Pharah's nades, Hanzo arrows, those are projectiles, right? None of those have fall-off damage, and Orisa was the only one with it. So I understand why they removed the fall-off damage to keep consistency across the board, but this is a strong power implication in which they would probably have to nerf the base damage per bullet in addition to this. If you keep this as a standalone, that's not good. Oh, Hog has fall-off. That's true, actually, but like Hog doesn't fall off, but the bullets spread so much, that's not really like a thing. If anything, they could make that consistent. I actually don't think it's bad to give Hog no fall off, because the bullet spread is so crazy at long range. You're getting hit by like a few pellets for like 10, 12, 18 chip damage. I think they could do that to really round out the consistency throughout the game. But when we look at the augmented fusion driver side by side, I'm going to watch my own main channel video. I know, haha. We're breaking the whatever wall. Third wall, fourth wall, is that the right term for it? Watching my own content, because the main channel is just the side-by-side. This channel is more of me like talking through everything. Also, I forgot to put the before and after thing here, but let's look at the side-by-side. The point stands. Oh no, I did do it. Why did it disappear for a moment? Oh, I didn't put it long enough. It's a huge buff here where the augmented fusion drive. You look at that? This is mid-range, by the way. 10, 20, 25 meters used to be the fall off. At 25 meters, you will really feel it. That is a crazy buff to its damage at this distance. The augmented fusion driver no longer has fall off damage. This is actually a pretty significant buff, because if you look at the before and after, you can see that at mid to long ranges, no fall off damage means that a spear into a wall comboed with your shot is actually more than enough. Fortify, now immune to taking force crit damage. Fortify already prevents critical damage from headshots. So this is specifically in the Mauga matchup. Honestly, I don't see too much Mauga being played after the nerfs, because people are going to realize, oh, he got nerfed, they don't want to play him anymore. I still think Mauga's like okay, to be honest with you. But in the case that Orisa does face off against Mauga, Mauga no longer has a huge advantage of being able to force crit against Orisa, because we found out in the Mythbuster that although Orisa's Fortify makes her immune to headshots and crit damage, Mauga was able to light Orisa on fire and dink her and just shoot her chest and completely crit her the entire time. So this is strong in this matchup, which is rare, but this is the bigger implication. Augmented fusion driver. Roadhog, slight nerf to his sustain. I do think Roadhog's sustain was really good. He just kind of wasn't played much last patch because Mauga was so good that you had to mirror with Mauga, and Mauga kind of shit on Roadhog. But if Mauga's being played less, I think this nerf is decent. If anything, I think the cooldown between usages could actually stay at 1 second, but they could just reduce the total amount to 400. This probably feels really bad for the Hog mains. The time between usages kind of sucks, 1.5. And there's a little bit of an animation that you have to go through before the damage reduction applies, because the meter needs to go down. So yeah, this is a bigger nerf. A pretty sizable nerf, excuse me. But we'll have to see. Orisa already does really well against Roadhog, and if Orisa stays at this phase and being chosen, then Roadhog is still not going to really have a great place despite it, and his nerfs don't help him in any case. Now, Sojourn, already a very high picked DPS in the high ranks. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with having heroes be really good at the high ranks, but like very piss poor in the low ranks. It's like Tracer. Tracer and Winston traditionally don't perform as well in low ranks because they're high skill cap heroes. Same with Sojourn. So Sojourn pretty much had an abysmal win rate in metal ranks, so I've heard, and so you can see on some of the limited data and overbuff. I don't actually agree with this change at all. I don't think she needs to be able to retain any sort of gradual energy, because now it no longer decays below 25%. You can always maintain a decent amount of charge. That's not the direction they should have taken with this at all. I don't think she needed anything. It's totally fine to keep her bad at the low ranks, but if you're a really good DPS player, you generally get more value. Nothing wrong with having low skill ceiling heroes and high skill ceiling heroes. Sojourn, Tracer, Winston being high skill ceiling. Heroes like Moira, probably, and Reaper, low skill ceiling. There's heroes for everybody in this game, but they definitely didn't need to do this. I disagree with this. I disagree with this without reducing the damage per bullet. Those are the two big things so far. Next, Sombra. There's a little bit of a quality of life and small buffs to the stealth, basically where the grace period between stealth can be canceled immediately after entering it, which is increased from 0.5 to 0.75. So you have a small window. Like basically when you're locked into the stealth animation, if you tried shooting, you'd be so locked into the animation you couldn't get out of it. This will actually make her feel a lot smoother and fluid to play. The cooldown now pauses at 1 second while capturing or contesting. So basically if you sit and try to capture an objective, it would wait for an objective to complete capturing before you'd go back into stealth. So now you quickly go back into stealth by like 0.5 seconds quicker. It'll make her also feel a bit more fluid. Same thing here when you respawn, fluidity 1 second to stealth as soon as you come up. Honestly, they should just let her come out of spawn invisible, to be honest with you. I don't even think that's a bad thing. Yeah, negligible Sombra buffs, but it's more of a fluidity change. Appreciated, I suppose. Next, Ana. A nerf now. Biotic grenades effect duration reduced from 3.5 to 3 seconds. Gone are the days in Overwatch 1 where Ana's nade used to last 5 seconds, which is a little ridiculous. 3 seconds? I looked at the side-by-side. It's actually not that bad. It is a nerf, and I'm an Ana main. I'm inherently biased, but like, it's fine. The visuals will put it in place here. All right, watch it. Ready? A nerf where the biotic grenades effect duration. Okay, ready? Okay, done. Now in real time. A small Ana nerf where the biotic grenade's effect duration is being reduced from 3.5 to 3 seconds. It's, you know, it's all right. Not the worst. It is something, but it's not, it's fine. Ana's still a really good hero. Okay, next, Illari buffs everywhere. So actually Ilari's bugged right now apparently because she gets infinite ammo because of this change, so they're gonna have to, they disabled her for now. I don't know when the hot fix is to fix her. You know, speaking of the patch notes directly, solar rifle. The primary fire charge gain is no longer paused by secondary fire or by channeling captive sun. So this was something I criticized when Illari first came out, was like, it was kind of annoying because like if you were DPSing and you tried using your healing beam, because you know how your primary fire has a little bit of charge to get stronger, it would pause it when you decided to heal. So it would actually be punishing to heal. So that's why Illari was really strong early on, because people just focused on DPS before they nerfed the other numbers. And that's why the pylon used to be a lot better too. Well, not why the pylon. The pylon used to be better, so you didn't have to rely on it as much. And after they nerfed the pylon, if you want to rely on the healing, it would punish your primary fire. So this is a good quality of life change. Ammo being increased from 14 to 16 is appreciated as well. This is also a nice quality of life change and a buff, to be honest with you, where it now fully refills your secondary fire resource and resets the overheat status. So 2 things. As soon as you pop your ultimate, your healing beam comes back immediately. It's not like you're going to be healing midair, but you can choose to. But previously, if you, let's say you expended your entire healing beam and you popped your ultimate, you still wouldn't be able to recharge any of your thing during your ultimate until you casted it and shot them, and then your beam would come back. But now everything comes back instantly. You may not feel this too much, but it is appreciated. And then the final thing is remove the fall off penalty from Sunstruck. Basically, people at max range who are being blown up will still take the full 120 damage instead of it having it scaled down. That's pretty good. I think it's a decent buff because I don't see Illari much right now, but the ultimate doesn't feel as strong. It actually feels like the slowing portion of her ultimate is the stronger part. A lot of the damage is easily mitigated now because they obviously changed it where you can shield off the explosion damage from a teammate, and the fact that you can block the initial pop as well or eat it with Matrix. And people have adjusted and learned that if you hear, you know, taste the sunrise, you fucking run. Or EMP, whatever she says in her native language. You know, decent Illari buffs. Illari is okay. She's kind of like a pokey hero. She was kind of like the Zenyatta or the Kiriko substitute in a couple of poke Sigma comps back in the World Cup era when Illari first was released. And she kind of lost her place because Kiriko is just a way better version. Next, Lifeweaver. The final change of this patch, the Thorn Volley projectile speed being increased from 70 to 80 meters per second. So a lot of people like do this overreaction thing on Twitter where they'll like shoot Thorn Volley at a stationary bot and be like, wow, this ability is really strong. But they don't realize the projectile speed is kind of what holds it back when you face really fast mobile heroes like Tracer, Genji, Doom, Winston, or Ball. When they roll around, you try to shoot them with these projectiles. They're so slow to reach the target that you have to lead the shot like crazy, or it's just very hard and very unpredictable. So buffing the movement speed of the projectile does actually help it in those specific matchups. And one small tip is that Lifeweaver's Thorn Volley is surprisingly really good at shield breaking. Actually much better than Illari or Ana or a lot of the support roster. Something to consider when people think that Lifeweaver is a no damage DPS. This will help in those hero matchups. And honestly, if you're a Lifeweaver and they're running like a Rhine shield, a Ramatra shield, Sig shield, as a Lifeweaver, you should actually spam the shield because the shield doesn't move. The shield doesn't move. No damage support, not no damage DPS, excuse me. Because like he struggles hitting moving targets, if the shields don't move, just fire some thorns at the thing and help pressure the enemy shields for your team. That can actually give your team a lot of value. Something underrated, just wanted to mention. Final thing is the pedal platform no longer pierced by piercing projectiles. I have it in the main video, but the only 2 piercing projectiles I can think of right now are Rhine's Fire Strike and Ramatra's Punch. They used to be able to go through the pedal platform, not anymore. I did test stuff like Sojourn's Railgun Ultimate Shot and things like Genji's Dragon Blade Slashes. They do not go through it. That was in the old Mythbuster. It didn't go through it before, still doesn't go through it now. What about Moira Coalescence? That is a good question. I didn't actually test that one. It does say projectiles though. Coalescence is a beam, so... But we'll test it anyways. We'll put that in the Mythbuster. Good one. Cool. And then there's a couple of bug fixes. I think the big one is that I wanted to mention was Mercies specifically, where they fixed an issue that Guardian's Angel active duration by canceling the ability while simultaneously pressing crouch or jump. This was actually a bug, in some, I don't know, you know, people call... What are techs in this game? TECHSs. A lot of techs are basically bugs in disguise. And right now, or at least in the previous, what Mercy is supposed to do is that when you Guardian Angel and do like a movement ability, like a slingshot or a super jump, you're supposed to have a 3-second cooldown on your Guardian Angel. And you could actually bypass that previously by pressing jump or crouch while you go through it, and then you can shorten the cooldown to the 1.5. So you can cut the cooldown in half to 1.5 second. They removed that for anybody who was bug abusing or using the tech. So it's actually like a nerf in disguise if you were using that tech, if you want to put it that way. That is basically the big thing with this mid-season patch, but the biggest takeaway is the Orisa. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching.